Hi everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. I am Heather if you are new here, and I am a top 1% Etsy seller, and I own a print-on-demand and Etsy business that I have grown to over multiple six figures and have made over six figures in profit with Etsy and print-on-demand. That's what I teach on my channel and everything about Etsy and print-on-demand and growing a business. Besides that, today I really wanted to go over a subject that I could spill a little bit of tea on, if you will. I'm actually drinking tea, by the way, if anyone was wondering. I have my tea, my big glass of tea here, because we are talking about some tea with Etsy, and I try to keep my channel very positive. I like to think that the glass is half full, but there's some things that get under my skin as an Etsy seller, and ever since the Star Seller Badge was introduced in 2021, it makes me annoyed. The best way to describe how I felt right once it came out, I feel like I have to explain myself, and I know this isn't a widely accepted opinion. Maybe other sellers have felt this way as well, but the Star Seller Badge, I feel ever since it was introduced, a lot of other things were introduced around the same time, which kind of just rubs a lot of us Etsy sellers the wrong way. And I think that Etsy is a beautiful platform to sell on, and it's a great place to start a business on. However, along with the Etsy Seller Badge and then an increase in transaction fees from 5% to 6.5%, it was kind of just a whole bunch of annoying things at once that happened. And then they had a huge SEO update where that changed a lot of visits and numbers of views and traction in a store that you could get within a month's time frame. Thankfully, I was able to adjust everything in time, and I feel like as a business owner, that's something that you just have to get used to, is pivoting with any type of change in businesses. And while I'm all for that, I'm all for pivoting and learning and growing, one of the most frustrating things is the Star Seller Badge. And there's a few reasons why I don't care for it. I don't try to achieve the Star Seller Badge every month, because I feel like it's kind of unfair, and we're gonna get into that in a moment here. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button, comment down below with any thoughts that you guys have. I wanna know what your opinions are about the Etsy Star Seller Badge. Recently, in I believe May or June of 2022, they have updated it so it's easier for more stores to earn the Star Seller Badge. However, I'm going to go over some key reasons why I find the Etsy Star Seller Badge just mildly annoying, and why I will never try to achieve it, because there's so many reasons. And I get that the whole purpose of the Etsy Star Seller Badge is to increase your customers' experience when they go on Etsy, and I'm all for that. I'm all for having great customer service, great customer experiences, and great response times. However, I feel like it's just, they make the goal of getting it so unachievable, and it really creates a bad atmosphere for an Etsy seller in a small business. Etsy is supposedly for small businesses. The one thing that frustrates me the most is that Etsy is trying to gear to small businesses. And if we think about a small business, a lot of small businesses are operated by themselves. We're all mostly solo entrepreneurs. And maybe some people are a mom and pop shop where they have their whole family working for that business together. However, with Etsy now, Etsy is expecting us as sellers to operate as a 24/7 customer service representative as well. And while I'm all for hiring someone for that, Etsy doesn't allow employee accounts. And for someone to log into your Etsy account, you have to give them your password and your email address. And with that being said, there's really no saving you if someone wants to hack your account. And on top of that, Etsy does close down stores that have a user who, maybe you hire a virtual assistant, and multiple IP addresses can shut down an Etsy seller account as well. So that's what's the most frustrating for me as an Etsy and print-on-demand seller, because I have grown to multiple six figures. And while that's great and all, you really can't hire out help. and you have this really profitable and really good business going. However, you can't really scale it the way that you should as a business. So Etsy kind of traps you in a corner of the small business corner where you really can't scale out of that because you can't hire out help. You can't get help besides asking friends and family members, which is great and all, but my friends and family may not want to help with my business. So I know a lot of other Etsy sellers are in that same stuck rut, and I think that's why a lot of people are leaving the platform, so to speak. And I think Etsy is a great beginner-friendly place to start at, but if you need to hire out help for your business later on, then going to other types of e-commerce platforms is maybe a better bet as well. Ultimately, in the scheme of me just venting and ranting on this platform, is that here is what really gets me. And if you've seen the top stores on Etsy, it's very hard for them to achieve the Etsy Star Seller Badge. One of the reasons why is because it's really impossible to respond to customers within 24 hours if you get hundreds of messages a day. On top of that, if you look at processing and shipping times and all of that, sometimes you're not going to hit that 95%. Sometimes it's more like 90%. And while you should be hitting and achieving over 95%, it's really hard to do when you have a high order volume and maybe your processing times that you promised are different from when you promised them to now. And that's another issue that I have. Along with that, being a higher sales volume Etsy store, you get way more reviews than any other store gets because you have higher sale volumes, which is great and all, but if you get, let's say, 100 reviews, a lot of the time, most reviews are positive and 5-star, but you start getting more 4-star reviews the higher your Etsy store grows. That's at least what I've seen in my store is the more sales I get, the lower my average rating goes. And that's only because I'm a bigger store on Etsy and people don't view me as a small business anymore. They view me as more of a system, but really it's just me behind a screen putting in my print on demand orders and making sure that my customer service is taken care of and everything that goes along with that. So that's another issue that I have with Etsy and the Star Seller Badge is I am someone who used to work in customer service. I know what it takes to have great customer service and I've done it time and time again. I have a 4.9 average rating on my Etsy store out of 1,700 reviews. For me as a big Etsy store, I know I deliver high quality customer service. However, guess what, guys? I've never had the Star Seller Badge and I know my customer service is good. So with that being said, that's why I get frustrated when I hear about the Etsy Star Seller Badge because I really don't think it matters. And the one takeaway that I want you to have out of this video is this is a fact and this is from my store. Like I said, I have never had the Star Seller Badge with Etsy. However, that does not equate to a low sale or low order volume store. My store still gets 400 plus orders a month with Etsy and print on demand. So that doesn't mean that you're going to get a drop in your number of sales. It doesn't mean that people will not view your listings, that you won't show up in the related section of a listing or in the search. This is something that for at least my store does not correlate. So the amount of sales I get does not correlate to if I have the Etsy Star Seller Badge or not. And I've been in Etsy forums, I've been on the Etsy platforms forums, and even in Etsy Facebook groups, and a lot of those groups have stated that they have not seen any increase in sales, increase in orders, or anything like that due to having the Etsy Star Seller Badge. And that's one of the reasons why I really don't care for it. And I don't think it's achievable, especially the more orders and more sales that you get. So hopefully this makes sense for those of you who may be stressed that you might not be getting the Star Seller Badge, and that's completely okay. Trust me, I'm in the same place. I don't have the Etsy Star Seller Badge, and to be quite honest, I don't care to get the Etsy Star Seller Badge because again, I feel like it basically insinuates the whole part of hustle culture and having basic issues and more stress on your plate as a small business owner. I feel like as a small business owner, we wear so many hats when we first start off, especially if you're a handmade business on Etsy. You're printing, packing, and shipping your items out. And then on top of that, you're doing customer service and you're trying to promote your business on social media and trying to figure out ads. And on top of all these things that you're doing, now Etsy's kind of driving in a wedge and saying, oh, now you have to respond to customers within 24 hours, but we won't let you have employees. And that's what frustrates me about Etsy is they say they're quote unquote for small businesses, but they're not really doing much to help small businesses when they enforce the Star Seller badge. So hopefully in the future, we will see it not really have an effect on our order volumes and our sales. I think it's great that they're promoting stores that can basically have over 95% of all three categories, which is reviews and processing and shipping times and response times. I think that's really great if you can achieve that. However, if you want to live a life outside of your business, which most people want to do, and I understand there's some people that eat, sleep, and breathe their business. However, I'm the antithesis of hustle culture. I don't think that hustle culture is really good for your mental health. I really don't think so. And I got into that stage where I was working 40 plus hours a day and then I was working on my small business. And while this is all good and fun in the moment, the aftermath of all that can lead to huge burnout. And I think that Star Seller badge is basically a proponent of burnout, and it can really cause burnout, especially if you feel like you have to hold your phone near you every day so you can answer a customer issue on Etsy. I think that's not the way to live your life, and a lot of people who work the 9 to 5, when they get off at 5 p.m. for work, they don't have to go in until the next day, and they get a weekend off. With the Etsy Star Seller badge and a 24-hour response time window, you don't get that. So anyways, guys, I wanted to make this video and kind of give a ramble and vent for those of you, because this is something I try not to talk about because I am pro Etsy at the end of the day. And I do love Etsy, but I don't think the Star Seller badge is something to worry so much about. What you really need to worry on when you first start an Etsy store is really just making sure you have a good customer journey, and that when a customer finds your listing, they like the product images and they look at your description and they trust your brand or your store. And I think that all has an impact on your customer service experience too. And when they do reach out to you, yes, it's good to respond in a timely manner during the week. But if you want to take a weekend off, if you want to take a vacation off, you should be able to do that too without being glued to your phone or glued to a laptop. And that's something that's really important as well, is taking you time for a business. The more your business grows, I believe the more you should have some time to yourself. And sometimes you need to hire out help. And that's something that Etsy still really hasn't worked on. And it's a little bit frustrating coming from someone who does print on demand, because yes, it's a passive way of owning a business, but it's not fully passive. And that's kind of the frustrating part. The one thing I did want to mention in this video is also with response times. One trick and one way to kind of still have your response times on the weekends or on a vacation is setting an auto response that sends an email or a message to your customer immediately once they message you. And you can put in that message something along the lines of, thanks for reaching out. I'm currently away from my office, but I will respond on so-and-so day. Here are some answers to some frequently asked questions. And then you can put your frequently asked questions below and then just state again, I will respond when I return. That's one thing that you can do. And Etsy has stated that this counts as a response within 24 hours. So I would highly, highly recommend that. At the end of this video, I didn't want to make it seem like I was venting or complaining, because I believe that the whole point of the Etsy Star Seller badge is a good intention from Etsy. They just want to increase customer service and increase the overall customer journey when a customer goes onto Etsy. And while I believe there are probably a lot of not so great customer service sellers on Etsy, I think it just makes it kind of harder for those who have really built up stores and stores that get high sale volumes throughout the year. I think it just kind of sets a harsher tone on those stores. But it does help the new stores who are just rising on Etsy. And I think it's very much easier to achieve the Etsy Star Seller badge when you first start out. However, again, the larger stores on Etsy, it's a little bit trickier. You definitely have to work a lot harder, and that's just the name of the game with Etsy, especially Etsy and print on demand. The more items that you have listed on your Etsy store, it is a lot more work as time goes on. And again, it'd just be nice if Etsy would eventually have employee accounts with Etsy. That's something that I hope maybe Etsy will see this video and say, hey, she's right. And there's a lot of other people who would like that as well. And definitely comment down below if you feel like you're one of those people. But besides that, I hope this may be connected with some of those of you who are struggling with maybe around the same lines of issues. And I just want to say really that the Etsy Star Seller badge, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. And I know other people will have a contradictory opinion and be like, okay, well, I think it matters because it boosted my views and my purchases. But for me, I haven't seen any change in my order volumes. I haven't seen any change in my visits and the way that the Etsy algorithm pushes my listings to customers. Nothing has changed since the introduction of the Star Seller badge. So that's something that I've seen, at least with my own store. It might be different for other people, but besides that, I would love to hear your opinions, and maybe I'll make another video with an update on the Star Seller badge. I know some people have asked me about my opinion on it, and that's just my opinion. That's my honesty. I try to keep it 100% on this channel, so that's gonna be it for this vid. I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more. I'm dropping things in my lap today. I'm gonna redo this. Gosh, this mic, it's a struggle. It's a struggle out here.